It's more about the energy. It's open, it's energetic, and it's clear, very clear. So maybe a little shiny, sparkly, and bright colors or something, but I'm not going for no, I want to, it's the energy of being light, bright, clean, a little more open, less closed to people.
Your more purest version of yourself.
Exactly.
Talks about passion between a woman and a man. Chris Dyer and his creative friends, darling. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Hi, welcome back to Chris Dyer's Creative Friends, the super awesome podcast YouTube show where I, your artist friend Chris Dyer, gets to talk to his super awesome creative friends. Now, today I am in Boulder, Colorado, a very beautiful place in the mountains, and I'm hanging out with my friend Morgan Mandala, who is an amazing person and visionary artist and painter and just a creative soul all in all. How you doing, Morgan?
I'm doing well. Yeah.
Woo!
Happy to have you here.
Thank you. How does it feel to be in this new home?
It's amazing and crazy and kind of full spectrum experience.
Yeah, totally. Because I was coming to visit you guys for many years. Like you and Randall are some of my best friends in the visionary art community and just in general. And I usually stay with you guys in your living room in your little small apartment in Boulder. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time I come to see your new home, which is just like a gigantic upgrade. Tell me a little about it. Like, what do you like about being in this beautiful home on the cliffside?
Oh, I mean, that part of it is amazing. Living in the wilderness, basically, we have a bunch of open land around us, a few acres up in the mountains, and incredible views, don't get old. It's really magic. We searched for a long time trying to find the right property that had the things we were looking for and our dream of having an art studio where people can come and take workshops and it can be more of a community space. So when we found it, it seemed like it would be a great fit. It needed a lot of work. And then once we moved in, we found out it needed a lot more work than the previous owners had led us to believe. Mm-hmm. So, it's been extremely difficult, but also amazing. Mm-hmm. Just being here is amazing. The other stuff, we're just trying to, one step at a time, move forward with fixes, and it's just a new experience that we're learning so much more than we thought we even would.
Right. Well, at least you own it, and it's something that you could project yourself to live in for the rest of your life. So it's just like a work in progress for the decades to create this amazing palace and community that you wanted to bring forth. Boulder's beautiful wherever you go, even downtown Boulder. It's just like, surrounded by mountains and good vibes. But now you're like straight up in nature. What's the difference between being like, say, in the city or in nature?
So the main difference, I think, is just having the, I'm so sorry.
What's his name again?
Leo.
Hey, Leo
is chasing Moo.
We're doing a recording, so.
And sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
So, but the difference between being in the city and the mountains, I would say instantly I felt just a sense of relief. I mean, here we just have our Wi-Fi for our phones, so there's not much service. We have just the ease of walking out your back door and going for a hike and not seeing neighbors, and just kind of having a space that felt a little more cushioned for creativity and just, creating your own vibrations and tensions and experiencing the natural world. I think people are really nice in Boulder. I always had a decent time living there, but even just the energy of not having all the different Wi-Fis and cars and sounds that you don't notice you hear all the time in the city, the buzzing, it's feels way more relaxing. It's always been a dream of mine. I've always lived in a city, so I really love that part of it.
Beautiful. I'm so happy for you.
Thanks.
May we all manifest our abundance and dreams. Do you feel like being in a home that makes you feel special because you've created yourself like a bigger body to grow into? Is that something that helps you attract more abundance into your art career and life in general?
I think it's something that requires it. That like somehow we don't know how we're figuring and going to figure it out. And you know, we have great support from people. It seems really impossible at a lot of times, but I know that just a lot of things I've already done seemed impossible. Just surviving as an artist seemed impossible for a long time, and it's working out. It's touch and go sometimes, but it you know, there'll always be a way if you get creative. I believe that. So we're gonna have to keep on that train. It might take a really long time, but I believe we can get there if we just hold the vision.
Oh yeah. So where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Chicago.
Okay. And where else have you lived?
Really, I've traveled around the world, but I've never really lived anywhere besides here or Chicago. When I was 18, I moved here because I knew I wanted to get out of there. And I came for the nature and school. I went to college in Fort Collins, and I just stayed because the people were really nice. It's beautiful. It kind of has best of both worlds as far as like, at the time it wasn't very expensive. So yeah, I've considered Colorado a home base since I moved here when I was 18.
Okay, amazing. How do you find the artistic community or the scene of, you know, the kind of arts out here?
I feel like since I, 15 years ago or a little longer, have been here, it has just there was like an inkling of it, when I was in college, and it was kind of an underground surging like vibration of friends, and people were all excited about these things. But now it seems to have like blossomed and coagulated all these people from all over the country into a really good crew of creative people, musicians, artists, aerialists, dancers, just a whole tribe that I think is really strong here in Colorado. I think it was able to get so strong because it was kind of, Denver wasn't much, before the past 10 years. And it's still, can't really compete with New York, Chicago, LA, but it's got its own thing going, and it's really kind to our whole community.
The legalization of weed changed the vibration of the city.
Definitely. I think that especially helped with just more people moving here, more abundance, more relaxed, more interest in the arts, and just like kind of this counterculture vibe.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. It seems like Colorado in general has become like the epicenter of visionary arts, while before it was like Seattle and then California. It seems like now that whole movement has moved out here. And as you said, it's exploded so much in the years since you've been here. How do you observe it? Is it something beneficial to have so many of the same kind of artists in one place? Or does it create like an environment of maybe like too much of the same thing and competition? Or do you all back each other up? What's the pros and cons?
I think that's a good question. I would say in this community specifically, and not necessarily in other art scenes, I think people are really supportive of each other, and we kind of see it as like a network and a net, that if one person goes up, hopefully the rest of us will be pulled up, simultaneously. And I like to think of it as more of a community than people, battling each other for sales. I think we all support each other as much as possible. And I'm sure, there's bits here and there that maybe people don't feel that way or don't resonate with it, but that's how I see it, and that's the people I know, kind of what I think is happening. If you get
Most people are friends or know each other.
Yeah.
There's not too many fights.
Yeah.
Just normal human stuff.
Exactly. Yeah,
we still-
people are people, and artists are particular. But yeah, I think for the most part, it's pretty supportive and not cutthroat or anything.
Nice. Would you see do you see a difference between the art scene of Denver and Boulder?
Well, Boulder's strange because it has gotten just so expensive. You kind of have to find the right spot to be tucked away either around the city or in the mountains that is affordable. So I think that's one of the big differences. But Boulder, I think, has a little bit more of a like family lovey. Not that they aren't like that in Denver at all. They're very lovey too and great. But I don't know. I feel like it's a little more. There's a punch to Denver that here in Boulder we kind of are a little more soft around the edges and more.
Probably different kinds of drugs to go around.
Well, yeah, there's definitely a difference in drug trends amongst the kind of Boulder people and Denver people, but we're all still friends anyways, you know.
Yeah,
but yeah, I
each their
think that
own.
is a big difference. It's like DOCs and also just what your general vibe is, what you do every day, how you take care of your body, and just daily practices can be a little different. They don't have the mountains in their backyard, so just right there, you know, is going to be different. And they also have more opportunities for art shows and things that are just accessible to them.
Like the brands are more there
Yeah.
than here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little more urban feeling.
Nice. Yeah, probably better. Well, definitely better for street art and murals.
Definitely.
In Boulder, I don't see many.
No, they're kind of trying, but it's not happening like it is in Denver. And Denver is proper now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell me about your name. Morgan Mandala. That's not your real name, right?
No, it's not my real name.
What's your real name?
Morgan Manley.
So it's also a double M. Why did you
Double M.
change it?
When I was first starting out, like kind of like live painting and coming into like a public scene, I painted all mandalas at first. And it was kind of like sticking also because there were no Morgan Mandalas, and there were like 1 million Morgan Manleys. You wouldn't believe how many Morgan Manleys there are, men
Really?
and women. So if you Googled it, and there was one that like a woman who wrote a book named Morgan Manley that did pretty well. So like at the time I was thinking like Google search what's unclaimed that resonates with me. And also I kind of wanted to have my name as my name still. And Mandala, Manley, they share 3 letters. They're similar. It felt like it resonated, especially because, just mandalas are graphic representations of everything all in one.
Very
It's
spiritual.
multiplicity and unity. It's like what the underlying, meaning behind my work and my life is. So
The seed of creation. Do you feel that artists benefit, at least sometimes, from making an artist name?
I think they can, but I think it depends. Like if you have a name like John Smith and there's 1 million John Smiths, maybe go by your middle name, or like Amanda Sage did, or Sage is her middle name. And it has a nice ring to it. There's some other people who do, Andrew Norris, there's a lot of Andrew Thompsons. So I like it because of that, because there weren't any other Morgan Mandalas, and that could be, my artist claim, at least. Still have my last name, but.
But now there's a few artists that are something Mandala, right? So now that makes it a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, it might, but I haven't noticed a big deal or difference. And
Nice.
luckily, I think I got in early enough with the mandala to have it work.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about your art, starting with the mandalas. Like, that's how you got started.
Yeah,
I think that's when I met you. Like, we met in Rootwire 2012. That's where I met a lot of people, including Randall and Della and Mr. Melty, and so many of the new generation of visionaries that I met there. Well, they're not new anymore.
Yeah.
But now it's like OGs to even the younger generation. But for me, that festival is like all this, new artists that are like doing really nice new things.
And making connections with each other. Yeah. So, I started live painting in college being friends with like bands like Papadosio and other friends that were in bands. And I always thought I would be doing representational work, and I ended up studying philosophy in college and getting really into Buddhism, and then having a bad experience with my figure painting teacher and kind of got turned off of figure painting. So I went this opposite direction. I'd never made abstract art before. I really wanted to just focus on like how color and your body react, how it makes you feel at a large scale, like when it takes over your visual field, and how the shapes interact with that, and kind of like resetting from the inside out using art as a meditation, different than I had ever done it before. And so I wanted to explore that for a while, and then started kind of reintegrating things back into, representational things back into my art.
Beautiful. And where has your art gone, these last few years? What's the new subject matters that you're getting into?
I started plein air painting up in the mountains, which...
Plein air?
Yeah, plein air painting. So I never
like
did
landscapes.
that. Yeah, landscapes, just finding a special spot, sitting there and just doing the painting. That's the only time, just those few hours. Don't work on it after or before or anything. It's just kind of like encapsulating the moment. And I started practicing it because I love being outside, and it's a great excuse to just spend all day in the mountains. But also, I really was bad at it at first, and it made me...
You were mad at it?
I was bad.
Bad?
I knew I needed practice. And so yeah, I started doing it more kind of to develop that, and then just fell in love with the experience and getting to really, really look at nature and spend time with it and soak in that area for those few hours, just you there. And then racing against the sun and trying to get those last shadows, and then it's done.
Nice.
And that I've been trying to integrate a little bit more into my current work, just because it feels fresh and exciting to me. And it also, I think, brings people back to the center of nature where we come from.
So you brought out your inner Bob Ross,
Yeah.
mixed it with a little bit of visionary vibes.
Yeah.
And now you're
I feel like that's
combining the psychedelia into nature.
Yeah, which pair well nicely.
Nice. So also tell me about your collaborations with your boyfriend, Randall Roberts. You go on a totally different tip when you do live painting with him, and sometimes with other artists, like in Electric Forest, you collaborate with Crystal Smith and Sweet Melissa, and you do something totally different. Those are what, portals, or tell me about all that vibe.
Yeah, so that's kind of a whole different process of intuitive painting. And I feel lucky to be able to do that with other people, because it's a really vulnerable position to be in. And it's kind of a lot of the reason why Randall and I are together, is the first couple times we made a painting together, this is way too easy and fun. And it wasn't a thing to just flow and trust what the other person is going to make. So those are kind of it's like your friendship and your love displaying itself in the canvas. We describe it as like, if you ever played that game when you were little, where you and your friend like draw a scribble on something, and then you pass it and they turn it into a dog or a face or whatever they see, and then you pass it back and you do that. So we're kind of just doing that on the canvas as an experiment every time. We never know what it's going to look like. So it's this like fun discovery. It's a different feeling to creation.
Right. And what a joy to do it with your lover.
Yeah. And what more could you ask for?
Right. That sounds super blessed. You guys are lucky. I love Randall.
Yeah, we're super lucky. We try not to take each other for granted.
Yeah, totally. So you're a female artist. He's a male artist, which you observe so closely. Do you observe there's any difference between being a female artist and a male artist? Is its perception of each different to the public? Is there like any advantages or disadvantages, or is it all the same, since art doesn't really even need special muscles or anything? Like is it all even or equal, or where do you see any differences?
I think it depends how you approach it. I think you could definitely have an approach where being a female could be advantageous online in certain circumstances. But you could do that as a male as well. As far as with art, it's hard to say. I think generally maybe a female might get more followers, but the male might make more money.
Oh, yeah?
And might have more sales. That could be completely wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it still feels like there's a little bit of sometimes the respect level seems a little bit less as a female, but it just depends. I don't know if you can say there's definitely a major difference, but there's definitely the ability for women to use sex appeal if they so choose, which definitely helps with people's, getting people to like things, or just because it's natural, for people to be
follow beauty in general.
Yeah, of course. That I think it still comes down to the art, and that is really what people are following for, because most artists are pretty much just dishing out art.
Right.
You might get a nice butt shot from a lady every once in a while, but yeah. So it's really hard to say. I think it'd be person to person basis.
Right. It's an interesting world, like it's superficial. Like we're external. We observe out and we get guided by a million things, and we got chemical compositions too, and a lot of things going through us. And I don't think anybody like purposefully is being sexist, being like, I want to follow more females. You just kind of naturally do it, or like I'll respect more a man because he's a man. I don't think anybody is like thinking that way, but maybe it's just the world that's influenced us at some point that hopefully we're all changing together.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think as time goes on, people are becoming more aware of those kind of differences, and women, not being paid as much as men is starting to even out more. And, it's definitely different being a female live painter painting alone than it is with Randall, so it's female live painters, we would band together because, if you're out by yourself late night, people are getting drunk, you're vulnerable. So we tried to look out for each other. That would be, I guess, the main difference is if you're working clubs at night by yourself as a female, it feels a little different.
Yeah. Do women feel vulnerable in general, just being out there in the open with a lot of men with many different intentions?
Not typically, but there's been a couple scenarios where you're like, whoa, this doesn't feel good.
It's the odds game, I guess. Like there's
careful.
all different kinds of people.
Yeah, exactly. And I like to think most of my experiences have been really good, but it's just nice to, it's just something always in the back of my mind because I grew up in a city where weird stuff happens. So.
Totally. Chicago, right? It's funny that Vincent Gordon, my last guest of the show, was also from Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
You're friends with him?
I actually don't know Vincent very well.
Oh, really?
No, I'm a fan.
Oh, yeah, nice. He's really sweet.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. I don't know him very well.
Yeah, I hope you get to meet him one day and exchange Chicago notes. So tell me about the business of your art. We all got to make money to pay our rent or mortgage and make updates and whatnot and keep on going. How do you go about your artistic business? Do you sell original paintings at exhibitions? Do you make products? Do you tour and do live paintings? How do you balance everything?
I try to do all of the above because I think it does require that balance. I mean, I would love to just make paintings and sell them. If I could just sell original painting, it's a special scenario when original paintings are sold, and I also am a little shy with that stuff and not good at dealing with it. So I do prefer to have someone else or a gallery do it for me, and I do participate in that when I can. But we make all of our own prints and canvases, and we do clothing with a couple different companies. So we have little pieces here and there like coming in that somehow make it work. So yeah, we try to do most stuff in-house, or at least know people who are working with our products. So it's a pretty hands-on. And then we do live painting when it's an event that we're like interested in and we love the people, and if they want to compensate what feels fair.
Right. But these days, there's less live painting, of course, because of COVID, but just talking on like, I guess, the normal world, or hopefully the, society will get back in shape or whatever. Do you enjoy going out there and doing the festival tours and live painting and vending, or are you kind of like, as you're getting less young, want to wean out of that?
I do feel a little bit of that. Yeah, that I'm sort of just picking a few years, kind of what we want to do. We love being here and with the garden and woods, and we have, we're trying to create an art studio that we have to build from the ground up now, which we didn't anticipate before. So focus has kind of shifted, and I do love meeting fans and being out there and creating live art. I mean, nothing makes you paint like that than being out in the middle of electric forest with hundreds of people watching. Like, you just keep going, and you wouldn't have made that at home. Mm-hmm. So there's something special to that. I think I'll always love to do it, but I don't want to get burned out and do too much. So I think the focus is shifting a little bit as we get older.
We're incredibly old.
Yeah.
So in this whole effort of staying at home more than being out in the world, I guess like that's where promoting your art on social media is helpful. Does a visual artist like ourselves need social media in order to succeed?
I think there are avenues that don't involve social media that you could take, but it's an extremely valuable tool in today's world. It'd be really hard. Or maybe it wouldn't be that hard, but I just haven't walked that path. So I don't know how it would be to be someone who, goes and vends at, little like craft fairs all over the country. You could probably make a ton of money doing that. But I don't like personally vending my own stuff. I'd rather pay someone else to do it for me, just because it's just a lot to buy my stuff, it feels weird for me.
I feel like begging.
Yeah, I don't want to beg. I want to just have a good time. If you like it, I'll probably just give it to you, and then I'm not going to make money anyways. So yeah, I haven't walked that path, but I think it's possible, and I hope it's possible. And there are also communities who support arts, galleries who support arts, who do media for people. That's how it started. So there's got to be a way.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like we live in a new, interesting world, a well-intentioned world of cancel culture that wants to, get rid of the negativity in the world. Sadly, every single person in human has both negative and positive, and it seems like us public people are almost in a position of danger and are walking on eggshells because we never know when we'll say something like wrong or make a mistake and then be canceled by all society in a very hard, traumatic way. Do you feel any nervousness of being out there, sharing your art and your thoughts in public like that?
Yeah, sure. Sometimes. I think I do sometimes. I mean, I try not to get into anything too political, because that isn't what I see my role as in this life. But I really don't want to offend anyone. And I'm a little upset that people are so quick to be offended in some way. I of course don't, people generally don't want to hurt each other's feelings. And I feel like I wish there was a little bit more openness to have a conversation instead of blacklisting or canceling people. A little bit more compassion, like, wait a second, this sounds crazy. If it sounds crazy, you've got to hear the people out, because there's got to be an explanation, you'd hope. Or, I like to think that everyone's on their path to becoming a better person, and so let's help each other instead of, when you make a mistake, just rip someone apart. And it definitely, like, I'm not very vocal about my opinions, and I'm not very hard opinioned on anything really online, because I do understand all sides, and I'm trying to be compassionate and see people where they're at in their journey. And but it does bring a little fear to my heart, because I want to just spread good vibes and love, and we're dealing with so much in the world right now. I just want to bring a little peace. And if someone then comes back at me if I did that wrong, it's kind of like, I think you're barking up the wrong tree here, So yeah, it definitely, as a sensitive person, has made me a little wary and made me post a little bit less and just let the social climate kind of breathe, and hopefully people can see where it's going.
Well, you're a lovely person that's just all about love, and I wouldn't worry too hard. But the reason why I ask you, because even you, this beautiful lady that does beautiful art and emanates, even you're nervous of like, oh, I hope I don't trigger people by just being me, because we're all so different and you never know these things. Do you feel that maybe there's like a well-intentioned, once again, to dismantle society in order to reinvent it and make something new? Do you think that's a good way to go about it, or should we build upon what already existed?
I don't think dismantling is going to help. History tends to repeat itself if we forget it. And I think you can't throw everything out just because some things aren't working. We might even need to reconstruct things a ton, but we're going to need a Band-Aid over that period. How are we going to transition? How are we going to compensate for different people's ways of thinking and merging the old with the new? I think it's a delicate process, and also not everything is bad. And it shouldn't be put in that light. We don't need to dismantle everything. We do have some stuff that's working, and there are less people at war than ever before in history, and we just can communicate so much now, and it's not face to face, that I think things are looking grim, just because we can see everything out in front of us and we're focusing on all of these kind of negative aspects without searching instead for what we have in common and what our strengths are. Let's use those to be the Band-Aid to get us to the next thing as a society.
Right. Unity as opposed to separation and judgment. So, we got better communication with social media. There's a lot of things we could say to each other, and art's reaching so much more people. So it seems like there's a lot of potential for positive change in our world. Do you think art can change the world?
I mean, art has changed my world. Mm-hmm. So I believe that it can create ripples that are important, because change obviously starts with individuals, ripples outwards, and it kind of saved me in a way, even just from a point of self-expression and exploration and kind of being able to go in deep, internalize, and see that on the outside. The practice itself, I think, has changed my world completely. And I do believe it can change the world, but it will take a lot of other things too.
Right, not art alone.
Yeah, art alone can't change the world, but it can change people who can change the world.
Right, for me, it's an important component.
Yeah, of change.
Right,
and a catalyst.
Right.
Some art, you don't need words, or there's no words in art a lot of times. So you see the image, you get what it means, the message, no matter who's looking at it. Across,
culture, language, anywhere in the world, they see your painting and they might reflect something in them.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the most unifying and powerful parts of art, is that we don't need language to understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. And that alone is just hugely unifying and creates the potential for change and just we've seen it happen through history where art can be this huge thing for the world and the community and bring people together. So I do believe it has the potential to change the world for sure.
Beautiful. What kind of psychedelics have you worked with throughout the years, and what's your relationship with psychedelics?
I think I have a good relationship. I would say I have a good relationship with psychedelics. It's not something I partake in all the time by any means. Mm-hmm. It's definitely something that's been very influential in my life, and just those experiences have changed my life and my art, as they have for many people. I've had some profound experiences with ayahuasca, a couple different, in 2011 and 2012. Went down for a couple months each year.
To Peru?
To Peru, yeah, in Iquitos, outside of Iquitos. Mm-hmm. And that would be kind of probably my most ceremonial, officially, legit experience with psychedelics. And the rest, although are more recreational, have also been intentional. You know, I think most times I've ever partake in something like that, we try to set an intention, even if it's just like a microdose. And, you know, so I'm more of a, I guess LSD would be my number one choice because doesn't have much of a body effect for me as far as like the hangover or anything.
Doesn't make you sick.
It's clear, it's clean, yeah, no sickness. Mushrooms can make my tummy a little weird.
Right.
But
What does it
microdose every
What does it do for you, acid? I'm not a big acid person, so what, you just see things all like melting and moving, or does it give you some kind of feeling?
It's more about the energy. I feel like, and I pretty much never even take a full hit anymore. I'm like back in the day maybe, but it's open, it's energetic, and it's clear, very clear. So maybe a little shiny, sparkly, bright colors or something, but I'm not going for like, no, I want to, it's the energy of being light, bright, clean, a little more open, less
Like
closed to people.
Your more purest version of yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Like an elevated version of myself in a way, just a slight up, and a little bit less like anxiety or fear in like a social situation or something where you might be like, oh, I'm a little nervous. It just like softens that a little bit. Or for live painting, like a tiny bit, you don't have to drink, you don't have to take drugs, you just do a tiny bit and it'll keep you up for 12 hours. So that's helpful too. But we still try to, no matter what, like set an intention and have it be not just some recreational whatever type of experience, because I do believe that you are kind of opening yourself up to the possibility of things that you don't understand coming in. You're in a vulnerable place, so I think you have to kind of protect yourself when you're going into those vulnerable places with any psychedelic.
Right. I don't think I could do psychedelics at a festival with so many people and fans and loud music and everybody else is like all over the place. Like I can't even smoke weed at a festival. I gotta be like, I might drink some beers. Like I can be a little bit drunk at a festival, but I don't know if I could open myself astrally in that way. I would feel so vulnerable myself.
Exactly. You are vulnerable. And I think, I don't know, if I ever do something like that, it would be like a micro, and it would be like very intentional and like, okay, we're setting like a protective boundary around yourself, because you just never know. There's crazy stuff out there. Can't hurt.
Right.
I'm saying, you know.
Yeah, it's good to be protected. Any stories that come up from festivals?
I mean, I don't know. There's
You've done a lot of festivals the last few years.
Done a lot of festivals.
What like not just about acid or drugs, but just in general, like what's a good festival memory?
Good one. Gosh, there's a million. I mean, just that one we were with you and Della and all of us, just
That
kind of up
morning?
at sunrise, just being all those shenanigans. That was an amazing weekend at Symbiosis, and just spending that like super hang time with friends.
I had slept that night. You guys were coming.
I was sleeping in and out too
Okay.
when you guys were drinking the beers.
I arrived like 9 in the morning, and these guys were sitting outside their tent, already drinking a couple beers. So I like joined in, got a little drunk with you guys. Raja Ram from Spangle was kicking it around, and they were like, okay, let's go to the water now. So we go to water, and the water is madness, all these hippies everywhere, and the water's all brown, and we're swimming in it kind of cautiously. And then there was that guy on the floaty castle. Yeah. So for our viewers who weren't there was this like inflatable castle, and there was this guy just like proudly standing there, and this chick was jerking him off and sucking him in front of everybody on top of this inflatable castle. I was like, oh my God.
The most epic.
Like, Jesus, I gotta get out of this water soon. I don't want to swim in that stuff.
It was rough. Yeah, it was quite like anything goes there, you know, and we saw it.
Didn't Randall get an infection?
He did, yeah, get a really bad infection from that, so that wasn't good.
Ew.
But we have some great, I mean, all over the world, like we met some of our best friends, you know, in Australia.
We've hung out in Australia.
Yeah,
Hungary?
Yep, Hungary.
Yeah.
Painting on stage with Spangle in front of like, you know, 20 or 30,000 people in Australia was a highlight. And we love him, and he's always so sweet and inviting.
Right.
Simon is. And
what about Boom? Have you been to Boom?
no, haven't been to Boom.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're hoping to go when COVID happened.
Did you go to, where else have you been out, like for festival scene other than Australia and Hungary?
We did one in England.
Uh-huh.
There's a couple in Australia.
Amsterdam?
Didn't do
No,
Amsterdam.
not
I
sci-fi
think that's
or
pretty
what?
much it. No, not we don't do many psytrance festivals.
You don't do
Those
that
are
one?
more
It seems like that's like the,
the European.
well, this seems the whole world, like the
Yeah.
bigger
We
scene
would
for
do it.
festival is psytrance.
Yeah, but
Do you like psytrance?
I mean, it's not really like my jam
Right.
personally. I don't mind it. It's not like I fuck it, but yeah, it's not like what I would turn on.
Right. Like, I don't mind it for like half an hour, and for me, it's very fun to get in like a full-on psytrance tribal. It's like, and everyone's just like, it's like something really special to
Yeah.
that. But then after that, like hour of dancing, I'm good to go. But those festivals last a week, and it's nonstop. After a couple days, I'm just like, please, no more psytrance.
Like, well, at least it's consistent to sleep too. The beat's not going to change.
Yeah, I
for a
guess
week.
so, but I have a hard
But-
time sleeping with such loud
because
music.
it's in the ground. And yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but I get it, and I like the people that surround it.
The community of it is really cool.
Yeah.
I like it. It's kind of like the Deadheads that we were speaking yesterday. It's
Yeah.
like, I love the Grateful Dead. I'm repping my T-shirt today. But I think I like Deadheads even more,
Yep.
and their community even more than the music. Well, I like the records. I got plenty of their vinyls, but just the Deadhead fans, I'm fans of them.
Yeah,
'Cause they're
yeah,
so
it's the
sweet
family
and
vibes
nice.
and radical acceptance. And
Right, no judgmental vibes and stuff. And I think that's the same with the psytrance scene. Like when I go to like, once again, like the giant dance floor at Osora or Boom, it's different from the United States Cali scene where everybody's dressed so elegantly to show off their beauty. No, they're in a bathing suit, just sweating it out, no T-shirt. Rah, rah.
yeah, with their eyes popping out of their head like, no, I haven't slept in 5 days.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you'll see a person sleeping right next to it. It's like, oh my God, how is he sleeping in the middle of this madness?
And then he'll just get up and start dancing again. And yeah, I like that in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like feeling like, I don't know. I've felt the same a little bit, I guess, underdressed, I would say, in California at like, LIV or something. Like, oh, wow, I'm way
Right.
not cool enough to be
Right.
here.
I remember when I went to Burning Man in 2008, I felt like a lower class citizen because I wasn't all super decked out. I was just kind of like hoodie and shorts, just skater vibe as I am. And I felt a little bit of judgment from some people being like, hey, what's up, you normal person? I didn't like that. But once again, we live in a superficial world, and even in the Shanti spiritual community, sometimes we guide ourselves by our, what we see and etc.
Yeah, and maybe I was just like mistaking that for like, maybe that was just my insecurity thinking that they were judging me or something
Right.
too, like who knows, but it's
And
a
it
different
doesn't-
vibe.
right.
It doesn't really bother me, but it's just like a different strokes for different folks.
Right. To each their own. If they want to go all out, amazing. I think it's beautiful for me to see.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
as long as they don't judge me if I want to be chill mode. But at the same time, I shouldn't care. Whatever way I choose to be is beautiful. And as long as I'm happy with myself, everything's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, you're great. You never have given off anything but good vibes to me, at least. So you're doing a good job. I wouldn't
Thank
worry
you.
about your wardrobe. It's fabulous.
Thank you. So, do you got any plans for the future? Like this summer, that things are opening up a little bit more. What's your plans or even goals for the next months or years even?
Well, we are doing Papadosia at Red Rocks.
Okay.
So that's next week, which will be our first like live painting event that's open to the public since COVID started. So that's pretty exciting.
How do you feel about that after being secluded for what, a year and a half, or at least over a year? How will it feel to be at Red Rocks with tons of people all around?
I think it's going to be great. I think everyone's been missing it, and we'll all probably have a new appreciation for exactly where we are, what we're doing, and who we're seeing.
Right.
So I think it'll be good. I am like strangely kind of like just nervous to go back out into the world.
Right, there's a little bit of social anxiety
Yes,
to like
100%.
all these people again.
Have developed that a touch of social anxiety to people I don't know very well, like my good friends. It's like doesn't matter, but outer circles. It's like I just sometimes don't know what to say if I don't know someone very well because I don't want to offend them, or maybe they won't get my joke, or I don't know. You know. But that's all silly, and it's all just my head. And once I just get back into it, it's only the anticipation that is that. And then once you're there, it's beautiful.
Right.
I'm
We
excited.
got to keep on grounding on our self-love and let everything outside of the happiness we feel about being ourselves and doing what we want. We'll always be grounded in that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be so great for you to be back in the ocean and do your thing that you're so good at, especially when we didn't have it for so long.
Especially because of that. That makes it like extra special, and it'll be really good to reconnect with old friends and make a new painting. And yeah, so we have that, and then we will be, really just working hard to save up for our art studio outbuilding. Yeah, trying to save money to fix the porch and the outbuilding and get our home safe so that we can someday have guests here, because right now there are some significant hazards, safety hazards, as far as just like large drops and falls and things that weren't built correctly.
People could die on your property.
People could die. No kids allowed right now. We're trying to work that out so we can invite people and feel confident that they're not going to be gravely injured.
Well, at least you have a creek and you got an old gold mine shaft.
Yeah, we have a shaft and an adit. The adit's a really big cave. It's also not sure if it's totally sketch or kind of not sketch. It's been there for a long time. There's definitely some rubble that comes down in the winter though. So, it's...
How far have you gone down that cave?
It goes probably about 100 feet.
Does it
80.
just stop at one point?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's one large front chamber, then there's kind of like a second chamber, and then a hallway that like goes down and stops. And that's it. So they just gave up, I guess.
Yeah.
Stopped digging.
Didn't find no gold there.
I think they might have found some, but it wasn't significant enough for them to keep digging. Plus, once you tunnel that far, if there's a collapse,
Right.
I want to be in there.
Ooh. Yeah, that'd be a hard way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can only love gold that much. What you gonna do with all that gold if you're gonna be under a pile of rocks? Ew.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for telling me your plans of the future. We're coming more or less to the end of our show. Would you have any words of wisdom or any thoughts to share with the people who are watching this right now?
Make art and try to be nice. Try to be understanding, love each other. Everyone, it seems to be a lot of hurt out in the world right now, and people expressing it in ways that I don't think are 100% beneficial to them or the people around them. And I hope we can just have some more love and compassion and make the world a more beautiful place for everyone, I guess. And it's the cheesiest thing ever.
No, but it's true. And you're really aligned with a lot of the final words of all of our former guests, Do you have optimism for our planet and our people?
I have to. I think it's essential to living a life of contentment and building a future. So I don't have naive optimism. I have hope because I have to, and because I do believe that all in all, like, I hope the hero's journey plays out where we do come up on top and we learn how to be more balanced as humanity, and we don't kill ourselves as a species. Could happen, but either way, if I'm pessimistic, I'm going to have a bad time. So
right, you might as well have look onto the top of the mountain and try to get there. If you don't get there, either way, we go back to the infinite bliss of God in eternity. Yeah,
and we know we're going to run into problems, but I don't know. It's like become a problem solver.
Right. We try our best at least.
Yeah.
And we go easy on ourselves.
Trying to.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Woo!
Love you, Chris.
Love
Thank
you too, Morgan. And I love you. Whoa, hey, chill. And I love you too, my beautiful viewers of Chris Dyer's Creative Friends. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please press the like button, subscribe, comment, share it if you're feeling this. And yeah, thank you for all your support, and I'll see you next time. Blessings.
Bye.
Woo! And in this episode, I'm talking to Randall Roberts, internationally recognized visionary artist.
We would discuss what are you going to do when you get your money, right? Oh, I'm gonna do this. Oh, I'm gonna go to France. And mine was I'm gonna get a real proper tour bus, right? Like a rock star tour bus. I'm gonna put all my best friends in it, and I'm gonna drive all over the whole continent of Canada, all the way down into South America, all over the United States. I'm gonna find the best place to live, and then I'm gonna build a mansion there, and all my friends are gonna come and live there. And that's what I did, except I didn't win the fucking lottery, man. I just did. I realized, like, I'll just do it. Yeah. Just do it. Yeah. Okay, no tour bus, okay. No $1 million, okay. But I am going to drive all over, find the coolest place I can find, and I'm gonna fucking live there, and I'm gonna make art.
Sounds like your life right now.
And that's what I did.
So make sure to subscribe, like, and everything else. Big thanks, and see you next week. Peace.